Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome back to Direwolf20's Let's Play. This is episode 39. Today I'm going to pretty much pick up right where I left off, working on my nuclear reactor. Now there's a couple changes I might want to make here, so I'm going to start futzing around and get ready to start building this thing out. So I'll be back in a moment once I've collected everything I want to do. Alright guys, so step one I think today is to get a new item added to my automatic crafting table. An item I wind up building quite a bit, but you know, probably about time I added it here. I think I've got most of what I need on me. Just requested a quick item. Let's also see if I've got some basic logistics pipes in here. I could probably do with making a couple more of those. A couple people have said, why don't you add basic logistics pipes to your auto crafting table? I might do that at some point. But let's also get 2 glowstone dust. That should be good. All the goodies coming my way. Alright. Let's put together this stuff. And get myself another basic logistics pipe. Turn it into a crafting pipe. Perfect. Good. Ta-da. Next up, I'm going to request for myself 2 pieces of silver and a diamond. And that should be a pretty good hint as to what I'm about to make an automatic crafting table of. And silver is probably in here somewhere. There it is. 2, please. So let's place this guy down right here. Why not? Perfect spot for it. Place this guy there. My silver should have arrived by now. Gee, where is it? Might have misclicked. It's easy to do sometimes. Alright, so let's get ready with this guy. We'll place down our glass, diamond, and there's my silver. There we go. Import. Great. Glass fiber cable. We're going to need a good amount of this stuff going forward anyway, so it's about time I added it to my system. Now let's go ahead and request a good number of it. We get, what, 6 or 8? Yeah, 6. Whew, that's going to be expensive. Let's go with 36 of them for now real quick. That should be alright. Request that, and all the good stuff should happen. Alrighty. I'll be back in a moment. And you know what? I decided to build 2 more items on my automatic crafting system. I'm really expanding this guy today. Should have a couple more things coming my way just a bit here. There they are. Good. Let's go up here and see. Do I have any redstone on me? Yeah, plenty. Good. Alright. Gonna build first a diamond. And that gives me my energy crystal. One of the things that I always find a bit of a nuisance to build is Lapitron crystals, and I'm going to have to build quite a few of these guys to get pretty much what I need to get. So let's build my energy crystal that I'm going to use in my next recipe. Pretty obvious what it's going to be, I'm sure. And grab, while I have this guy open, oh yeah, I should probably request some gold dust. Sorry, glowstone dust. What do you want from me? It's gold in color, isn't it? While I'm waiting for that stuff, I'll open up this GUI up here. And yes, it's pronounced gooey. A couple people commented last time I said gooey. That's how it's pronounced. I'm not kidding. I'm pretty sure that's right. There we go. Lapitron crystal. Perfect. Just in time to get my glowstone dust and put together some more crafting pipes. And happy excitement, we can go ahead and import their recipes as well. Boom and boom. Perfect. So now let's go ahead and request the 6 Lapitron crystals I'm going to need to make an MFSU. Give it a shot while I'm at it, right? Why not? Lapo crystal 6. Hooray! Successful. And diamonds will flow. Cool. I'll be back again in a minute once they've all crafted. While waiting, FYI, I requested a machine block, and because I needed to use energy crystals in my recipe for Lapitron crystals, I was able to request those as well. That got me the MFE that I need to get started with. I'm also going to need an advanced circuit and advanced machine block, but I'll go make those off camera. And I have just hit a snag in my energy crystal to Lapitron crystal problem. Energy crystals do not stack. Dun 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 dun. How am I going to resolve this? Actually, it's pretty darn easy. Why don't I build for myself a crafting table here? Let's get out some wood. Do I have any wood? I do. Hooray! And craft up a chest. Now you might be saying to yourselves, wait a second, what do you mean you can use a chest on this system? Well, if I place a chest right here next to my Lapitron crystal inventory and place a energy crystal in it, it'll use the energy crystal out of the chest to create the Lapitron crystal, which is perfect and exactly what we want it to do, right? But you might be saying, well, how do we get the crafting pipe here to do what it needs to do? Well, now is time to introduce a new crafting logistics pipe that I haven't had to use yet. It's called the satellite pipe, and it's crafted like so. Basic logistics pipe with redstone on either side. So let's go ahead and get out our crafting table. Basic logistics with redstone on either side. The satellite pipe, when used in conjunction with a crafting pipe, will send certain materials to a different route or a different inventory in order to craft. So what I'm going to do here is open up my chest, place a satellite pipe right on front of the chest. So now we've got this satellite pipe connected to this chest. And if we open up the satellite, we'll give it an ID of 1. We haven't used any satellite pipes yet, so ID of 1 is perfect. Then we'll open up our crafting. We'll place the energy crystal in the satellite box over here. And it automatically detects that 1 is an available ID, and I can't click otherwise. So we can see now that the way it's built is lapis lazuli and electronic circuits will go into this inventory right here, which is the automatic crafting table. And then any energy crystals that come down will wind up in the chest next to it. And energy crystals in the chest will automatically be used to create Lapitron crystals. Ta-da! Plenty of Lapitron crystals. And just to demonstrate this functioning, why don't I go ahead and grab my remote orderer and request just 1 Lapitron crystal. Can't hurt to have an extra. I'm sure I'll need it at some point, right? So request. And if we watch what happens now, you'll notice that items are going to start flowing in here. And the energy crystal, if you pay attention, will wind up going into the chest once it's crafted. See how that worked? Perfect. Now, once the electronic circuits make their way up, the Lapitron crystal comes down because it pulled the energy crystal out of the chest. So that's how you use satellite pipes. A couple people actually posted saying, how do you do that? One of my videos did demo it, but it was an older one. So now you know. And we were able to solve the problem of crafting items that can't stack, which is cool. Alright, I'll be back in a few moments once I've crafted a advanced machine and all that good stuff. And we've got everything crafted here. Now I've got an MFSU, which I can store all kinds of good energy in. So let's run downstairs to our uranium reactor and find a good spot for this guy. Where exactly do I want to place this MFSU? That's probably a good question. I'm thinking right about here might not be a terribly bad spot for it. Now I'm also going to have to find a way to run some energy to it. So let's go downstairs here and see how badly I can fail at doing this. I want to find a good way to make sure that I'm, powering my nuclear reactor and getting energy out of it, as well as trying to get a redstone current within the same block. Let's see if I can figure out a good way to do that. Alright guys, so I tried. I didn't have much luck trying to figure out a way. I don't even know if there is a way, so I'll leave it up to you guys to find out or tell me if there is a way to get those guys to behave. But for now, what I'm going to do is just wind up digging into here, and that's not where I wanted to be. So let's close that hole up. Well, that is kind of where I wanted to be. I just didn't want there to be a big old mess all over the place. Let's see here. I'm going to need some wiring. So let's get that going. And yeah, I realize I knocked off my redstone wiring. Don't worry, I'll fix it. Let's see. How can I get this to behave? Doesn't want to place down a cable. Let me get this going. I might need to mess around a bit. Alright, so what I've done is just blocked off this little spot here. Let's see if I can get some cable going out the side of this thing now. No. Alright, I decided to just knock all the water out of that room because I do not want to have to put up with it anymore. So let's go down here and rewire this guy. That's much better. And I'm going to run over and connect my fiber optic cabling to my nice little machine here. It looks like it's raining out based on that little lag spike that I just had. Also found out that it's a lot easier to maybe just place a block like that. See how I did that? Much easier to do. And now I can run this guy down here. And I'll replace just a little bit of this reinforced stone stuff, just to, you know, kind of make up for the fact that I just cleared a bunch of it out. Then I can run this cable out like so. Just do this. There we go. Nice. A little bit of juice going. And you can see I cleared out the water in this room just because I was annoyed with how the water was flowing and pushing me everywhere. So now I think I've got this reactor pretty much ready to roll. I can activate it by just throwing some uranium in there and flipping my lever. And a couple people suggested that I have this lever also activate this door. I don't really want to do that. And I might do something along those lines eventually, but I want to do a little bit something different with this lever. And just keep in mind I'm not done with this lighting system either yet. And if we check this guy out, we'll see we got a little bit of power in the brief moments that the uranium was being used. Perfect. Now I'm going to fill this room back up with water, thanks to my handy Evertide amulet. And I'll be back once this room is fully flooded again. Alright, so got this thing nice and plenty of water flowing through here. You can see, if I run inside, everything's running smoothly. I've got this, you might not be able to see it on YouTube, but the cable's coming out of this side. Now keep in mind you want water all around the reactor. Pretty much what happens is your reactor has a 3x3 area that surrounds it. So on top there's one reactor chamber that helps to cool more than water would up there. So it's good to have a reactor chamber at least around on all 6 sides, and that's more cooling than water would be on those 6 sides. And the other areas, like this spot here, these ones down here and all that, having water on them helps to cool as well. So I've got more than enough water in this room. Like I said, it could be a little bit smaller, but I wanted a little extra leeway in that room, and I think everything's looking pretty sharp right now. So I think we're ready to turn this guy on. So why don't I get the components I need to get this reactor running? I'm going to need a significant amount of coolant units and you know, all kinds of crazy stuff. So I'll be back in a minute once I've collected a lot of the resources I need. And real quick, I'm crafting myself up a new alchemical chest. I'm starting to have some inventory issues here, guys. So at the moment, I haven't really decided exactly what I want to do to resolve this, but as a temporary stopgap, I'm just going to throw down this inventory chest here, and I'm going to be moving some of the junk out of some of my more full chests. For example, red power, I've got all these marble bricks and whatnot. I need to get them out of there. So I'm moving this stuff around. That should clear up a lot of junk. I've also got a ton of nickelite. I got to figure out exactly what I'm going to do with that stuff. But for now, that helps clear out some of the space in this chest. So I'm just going to make that like a building supplies chest, and if I have anything like sandstone, yeah, don't need that stuff. Probably even get rid of it at some point. But I don't even know how this dirt got in here. Go recycle that for me, would you, Ender Chest? It's because I have the default route. That's how it got in there, I know. But for now, that's good enough, and I'll come clean this more up later. Alright, so the first thing I need to make is about 14 of those, whatchamacallit, super coolant thingies. Yeah, I know what they're called, honest. They are called integrated heat dispersers. Yeah, those. I need about 14 of them. So I'm going to request myself a good handful of that. Probably just going to go grab a stack or so of copper. That'll do me. And while I'm waiting for all that stuff to craft up, I'm also going to request, if I'm building 14 of these, I'm going to need 28 coolant cells. So might as well get cracking on those. That's going to take a little bit to process. I'm going to need a lot more coolant cells than that, as a matter of fact, but this will at least get the ball rolling with regards to the ender chest and the automatic bucket system. And I have actually considered adjusting the the way this design is so that I can adjust the timer on this guy to make him run a little bit faster. But for now, I think it's alright. We'll see if we do hit a bottleneck with that thing. Here comes all these guys, which is nice. Throw them inside my singularity compressor. Oh good, we're already getting some coolant cells. Nice, good to see. And as you guys have seen before, all I need to do here is surround this thing, and this will get me the integrated reactor platings that I need. And I'm already filling up my inventory on coolant cells, so I'm going to place them inside my little bag for now. And I'll be back once I'm, well, I'll give it a minute here. But basically I'm going to be crafting a bunch of these guys. Let's see, integrated reactor platings, thank you. And that looks good, actually. For now, I can just place a bit of these guys in here, along with some wood and other stuff, just to clean up my inventory while I'm getting ready to craft all this craziness. And then it's simply a matter. I'm also going to need some, let's see, 14 advanced circuits. So I might as well get those guys crafting as well. And you guys have seen this recipe a few times, so I'm going to build those integrated heat dispersers and then I'll be back. And just building the last of these integrated heat dispersers here. I have a little bit of copper left, no big deal. I can throw that in there like that. Now I've got a bunch of integrated heat dispersers. Now, those who don't know the internal mechanics of nuclear power, let me give you a brief overview while I'm setting this stuff up. Basically, the nuclear reactor produces a lot of heat while it's running, and uranium produces heat. And it produces heat relative to how much uranium is in your nuclear reactor. Integrated heat dispersers help to cool down the reactor. There's all the components that I've built so far that you've seen, both coolant cells, integrated heat dispersers, uranium cells, and those metal plates that are used as part of the integrated heat disperser recipe, all have individual components and special rules with regard to how they help cool down a reactor. So it's pretty complicated. And I won't even pretend like I know how this system works, and I wouldn't even pretend to be an expert at it. I usually go online to the industrial craft forums, and I say to myself, alright, let's see what's a good recipe out there. A bunch of people have come up with some really intelligent designs, and one of the ones I'm building now is a pretty effective Mark II reactor. Now remember, I said that a Mark II reactor basically means that it'll never explode as long as it only runs for one cycle. One cycle, meaning that, basically, did I miss something somewhere? Yeah, I might have. I think this goes up here. Sorry, I'm building this as I'm talking. But basically, one cycle means that it's going to use up an entire set of uranium cells, and then of course it shuts off because it's run out of fuel to burn, right? And it won't build up enough heat in the amount of time that it takes to use up the entire set of uranium cells, so therefore it'll start cooling off once it automatically shuts off. Now if I were to go replace those uranium cells right away, before it had a chance to cool down, then it might explode. So that's what a Mark II reactor is going to do. Luckily, I'm not going to have that problem because I'm going to let it cool down plenty fine. Now next I need to build myself a bunch more coolant cells. Looks like I'm going to need about 35 of them, according to this recipe I'm using. So I'm going to go ahead and hit request on that. You might also be interested to know that I sped this up at, eventually. I went with a 1 second interval. I felt like that was pretty darn good. So requesting 35 of these guys. Maybe I'll bump this up just a little bit to help increase the speed at which we're producing water cells. So plenty of water coming in here, not a problem. Cool. 0.5 seconds, by the way, looks like it's the perfect amount of time to run this system. And we should have a bunch of water coolant cells spewing out onto the ground over here, and because I don't like to have redstone timers running a lot like that, I'm going to bump this guy back up to the 10-second mark where I had him before. Perfect. And seal the floor back up. Good. Oh my, look at all these reactor coolant cells, huh? Not a problem though. I'm going to run downstairs and plug them into my reactor. Now, there's some serious math involved in coolant cells and cooling a reactor. I'm not going to go all into it in this video. I have a tutorial video up that covers nuclear reactors. Like I said, not going to go into it in today's video, because today's video is a Let's Play, not a tutorial. Although, yeah, I know, it's partially a tutorial. Now, let's see. This looks to be the design that was set up, and pretty much is what the plan I'm building here. These integrated heat dispersers help to disperse, makes sense, the heat of the reactor into the cells around them. So they're getting dispersed into these coolant cells, and these coolant cells can absorb a significant amount of heat. So a nice design. Whoever came up with it was pretty brilliant. I should probably give him some props. What do you think? Alright, so if you go to the nuclear reactor section of the Industrial Craft forums, you'll see a thread sticky to the top called A List of Good Reactor Designs. And there's a bunch of Mark 1s and Mark 2s. The one I'm using today, it was Maes, M-A-E-S, according to this thread, is the one who came up with this design. It's got a efficiency of 3, which is really good for a Mark II reactor, and it's got 120 energy units per tick while running, but it needs a 70-minute cooldown after each cycle. So this guy's going to produce 100 energy units per tick with a 3 efficiency, which is really pretty darn cool. By the way, in the end here, we're going to wind up with 24 million energy units. So I'm probably going to need to build, looks like 2 more MFSUs. So I should probably get to building them pretty soon, and I think I will, right now, off camera. And as you can see, thanks to my auto crafting system here, I'm just getting the last of the materials that I need to throw into my singularity compressor to get the mixed metal ingots and the carbon mesh. That's going to allow me to upgrade. Let me just throw this guy in here. This will allow me to upgrade and get my 2 MFSUs. Quite an expensive recipe, obviously, but hey, that's the cost of success, right? There we go. Running downstairs. I'm going to place this guy here. Oops, probably not exactly where I wanted to place him, is it? Where's my wrench? You better not break, you MFSU. Hooray! And then I need also, while I'm in this chest, my glass fiber cables. Might as well hang on to my EU reader. I'm going to need that in a moment, right? Let's do something like break this guy here, and this guy here. Nice. Serious amounts of power about ready to be created. Now let's run upstairs again. I need to compress 3 more pieces of uranium, which I'll go find down here in my rare stuff. And might as well check in my miscellaneous materials. Yeah, I do. I have some empty cells. Perfect. Go through this guy in my compressor. Refined uranium. Uranium cells. Great. So, I'm going to want to keep an eye on this guy for a little bit, but, you know, I think it's going to work out pretty well. So let's go ahead and throw my uranium into my nuclear reactor. Perfect. Doing exactly what I want it to do. So as you can see, there is one little empty spot here. And I played around with this on the Industrial Craft Reactor Planner, and it looks like adding a coolant cell or anything coolant-wise here only reduces the cooldown of this thing by 3 seconds. So the cooldown right now is 69 minutes, and I could bring it down to, like, you know, it's 69 minutes, 3 seconds. I think adding an item here brought it down to, like, 69 minutes. So no big deal. I'm going to leave this as is, and, yeah, I think we're ready to flip the switch. One more thing I should probably make, though, before I flip this switch. And if I run upstairs, I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. I want to build a thermometer. Let's build a digital one. Why not? So I'm going to need an electronic circuit, 3 refined iron, and a glowstone. Not a big deal. I should have all that stuff sitting right up here somewhere. Electronic circuit, 3 refined iron, and some glowstone dust. What was that guy again? Okay, there we go. Bad at remembering recipes, believe it or not. Digital thermometer, sweet. A thermometer is an add-on. It doesn't come as part of Industrial Craft, though I wish it did. Hint, hint. All you Industrial Craft mods. I do wish there was a good way to read the energy and the heat on a nuclear reactor, but this thermometer add-on does a great job. When you right-click, it's going to tell you exactly how much heat is in a reactor. Right now, the reactor's heat is 0. And if we flip the lever here and turn it on, see how our whole heat is starting to build up? So, whole heat will build up over time. And if you look in here, all these items are starting to take damage. This is your uranium cell. This represents how much energy is left in the uranium cell. When this thing depletes, the reactor is going to shut down, because it's basically like running out of fuel. Okay? The heat that's being created by the reactor at this point is being dumped into these coolant cells and to these integrated heat dispersers. Okay, so you can see right now, the hull heat is any heat left over that's on the hull of the reactor. And once these coolant cells and integrated heat dispersers heat up all the way, all the excess heat starts going into the hull. And the hull's also taking a little bit of heat growth right now because there's not enough coolant in this reactor to compensate for the massive amount of heat being produced by 4 uranium cells touching each other. When the uranium cells touch each other, like this pattern right here, it makes them more efficient, meaning they produce more energy each cell and also more energy units per tick. So pretty much we're getting a lot of energy because these 4 are touching. If they weren't touching, it would be less heat being produced, but also less energy. So this is kind of the mini game of nuclear reactors. So this hull heat shouldn't have a problem building up. Let's close our door here and make sure everything's good. Now there is one thing I'd like to do. Let's check also on our MFSU here. Looks like it's building up pretty nicely. And while I'm in here, I'm going to go ahead and look up a recipe for an item called an EU detector cable. Going to need some 4x insulated high voltage cables, some electronics, an electronic circuit, and some redstone. So let's remember that, because that's going to be the next component of my little design here. I want to have a light system that indicates whether or not energy is being produced by the reactor. So we can tell whether or not the energy is, or the reactor is on, simply by the matter of the switch being flipped. Yeah, that's right. And then having an EU detector cable here will tell me whether or not energy is flowing through this wire. So right now we can see, as promised, I'm getting about 120 energy units per tick. Looks like 119. Maybe this cable's a little bit long. Could be. I might even actually want to change this up. Let's see if I break this guy off here. Still 119, huh? I might need to, there we go, 120 now. Great. So maybe I have to do something about that. I could always, you know, put these guys in a series or something. Why don't I do that? Where's my wrench? Luck. Woot. Always a little nervous to move those things, right? Let's just put them like, I don't know. Put one here and one here. How's that sound? And then a glass fiber cable in the middle. Detector, 512 flowing through that guy. So I did lose a little bit of energy, the energy that was in this MFSU. But that's no big deal, because what's going to happen now is energy is going to flow in here at 120 energy units per tick, and then it's going to immediately dump out into the MFSU here and here, and it's going to evenly distribute. So these guys will fill up all the way, so they'll probably hit about 10 million each, and this will have about 4 million left. Like I said, lost a little bit by breaking the MFSU at the end there, but now we're petering down, and let's see. We've got about 120 energy units here per tick, and if we take an average reading on this guy, we should see it's about 120 energy units as well. Pretty darn close. If we read this guy, he should be getting about 60, and reading this guy, also about 60. So remember, it's averages, so it works out. Alright, I'm going to go get prepared for the next thing I want to build, and I'll be back. So I'm thinking now's as good a time as any to go check on my rubber tree farm. I'm going to need some rubber anyway, and you can see I came down here, a bunch of people, I think almost every one of my subscribers probably, mentioned to me that when I flip the lever to turn on the planter here, the rubber farm, it also turns on the extractor. And everybody kind of said it's not that big a deal we know, but just an FYI, which is cool. I appreciate you guys going ahead and giving me the heads up there, because you're right, I probably want to move that over a little bit. So let me see here. What did I do wrong? I think it's just because of the way this thing runs. Where am I at? So when I flip the planter, it also turns on the rubber tree, right? Okay, I've reversed it. It's the resin remover switch turns on the rubber tree. Alright, not a big deal. What if I knock this guy off here and do something like... Is that enough to run the power, or is that not going to transmit? So let's try a resin switch now and see what happens. Run down there. You can see, no, it's not going to behave itself. So probably the easiest solution here is, let me check. Alright, so I think the easiest solution here was by applying this white insulated redstone wiring won't transmit its energy through the source block and to the next block over. So by doing that, now my white bar, or this lever here, won't activate this guy. So we should be pumping out a good amount of energy. And it looks like it's getting late, and I don't want to run back to my house, but maybe I should, because I've heard sometimes that that watch of flowing time can mess with buildcraft machines. I haven't had a chance to test it yet, so I need to actually test that before I really start going nuts with using it. But for now, I just haven't been using the watch of flowing time for that reason. It's a pretty complicated device, so I wouldn't be surprised if it messed with other mods a little bit. And our resin extractor should be extracting resin. Looks like it is. It's looking like it's doing a pretty good job of it as well. So I'm going to let that extract for a few minutes, and then I'll start chopping down these trees with the forester. Yep, all kinds of resin falling out over here. Nice. I'll be back in a minute once it looks like most of the resin spots have been tapped. Alright, looks like most of the resin has been extracted from these trees. I think it's probably a good amount right now. I'll let that resin guy run for a few more minutes, but I'm going to flip on my logger here, and that's going to start picking up all the resin. Maybe I'll turn it off for another minute and make sure I got all the resin out of the resin spots. Might have picked up a wood block or two, but it looks like it picked up all the resin, which is good. Exactly what I wanted to see happen. Sweet. If we run back to our house for a moment, we should get there in time to see all that resin showing up and getting processed. Just want to make sure everything's running smooth. Oh yeah, definitely looking good. Yeah, plenty of rubber. Cool. So let's run back outside. If there's any resin that I missed, it would probably be laying on the ground by now. Not seeing much of it. So let's hit that logger again and chop down this little forest that's been growing. We can even turn off that resin pump, because there's no need to waste the fuel in there. And now we'll chop down the trees, as you can see. And they'll also be sent back, and as you know, rubber tree wood turns into rubber. So that'll get extracted as well. Alright guys, so let's real quick request an electronic circuit. Let that guy cook up. And I will, in the meantime, run over here. And you remember you've seen me, thought I had some high voltage current cable here. There we go, HV cabling. Perfect. I only need one of these guys, but I'm going to need a good amount of rubber. And if you'll see, you take a piece of rubber and you get your insulated HV cable. Add another piece of rubber and you get your 2x insulated HV cable. And finally you get up to 4x insulated HV cable. So a good amount of rubber to get that one insulated piece of high voltage cable. And cabling energy loss is dependent on how much insulation there is. Copper can only have one level of insulation. But gold can have 2 levels, and high voltage cabling here can have 4 levels, like you just saw. Now there's my circuit that I needed, and let's see here. It's just a circuit on top, HV cable, and 3 redstone. Cool. Circuit on top, HV cable, 3 redstone. Perfect. I've now got an EU detector cable, and that's going to help me to determine whether or not there's energy flowing through my system. And I think it would be a wise idea for me to use a wireless transmitter here. Should probably do this redstone bit wirelessly, because there's no sense in running all this crazy stuff around if It's just going to be a big old mess everywhere. So let's do this. That's a transmitter, right. So I need a lever. Do I have any sticks in here? I do. Remember, I always forget which one it is, the lever or the redstone torch that makes the transmitters and receivers. Whoops. There we go. Receiver. Great. Transmitter, receiver. Perfect. And real quick, now that I've spent some time inside my house, I want to go see if my forest is done being chopped down. I'm waiting for all the blocks here. Yeah, there's still some leaf blocks hanging out. I want to make sure they all fall down, and any rubber tree leaves that happen to get me some saplings will get picked up by that forester. So that's cool. Now, back downstairs here. My nuclear reactor should still be running. Good, there's not a giant crater. That's always a good sign. And digital thermometer here. Let's just check the heat reading on it. Now these guys can get pretty darn hot before exploding. It's only at 597. Not bad. We can also check here. We can see we've got a little bit of damage starting to occur, but nowhere near a big deal. And I'll turn off that NEI thing. I know that's a little annoying, and I always forget to turn it off. Now let's go down here. Good a spot as any, right? Now, the way this works is I simply break this cable and place down the EU detector cable. And if there's energy flowing through the line, it's going to emit a redstone signal like you just saw. And if there's no energy flowing through the line, it's not going to emit a redstone signal. Ta-da! So now we have a way to detect whether there's energy flow. And let's throw down our wireless transmitter right there. And as you can see, it's on because it's transmitting energy. Let's bump it up to frequency 20. Sure, why not? And I'll mark down that 20 is my EU detector on reactor 1. Cool. Now let's go in here and set up a new light. But I'm going to have to knock around and mess around with the system a little bit. So why don't I think about exactly how I want my lighting system to be designed. I'll be back in a few minutes to think it over. So I went ahead and got myself some yellow lumar and made myself a yellow lamp. So that's going to be cool, and I'm going to want this guy to be right there. And I know it's going to mess up with the little system I had back here. Don't worry, I'm going to figure out exactly how I want this wiring to go. I might need to expand this room just a little bit and come up with exactly how I want my wiring to be. I don't even have an idea of exactly what I want yet, but I'm sure I'll figure it out as I go along here. Let's just give myself a little room to work with. And as you guys know, I'm not the best with redstone, so get ready for me to fail a little bit. But let's see what I can figure out. So my lever is here, right? Correct. And I'm probably going to need to have some of those little strips. And I'm going to need some colored cabling here. Not that stuff, but I'm definitely going to need more of red alloy wiring. That should be cool. Who knows, I might need some of this stuff, some of that stuff, and that. Why not? I'll throw that in the air. So right now, if I flip the lever, it turns on the yellow light. Not what I want to see happen. So let's do that and see if that prevents the light from going on. It does not. Alright, so the reason for that probably... And I know there's a lot of noise going on here. The reason for that is just because of the way redstone transmits, and I'm sure I can adjust that a little bit and get it working properly. So let's see real quick. I want to check on this guy, make sure the reactor is not getting too hot. 723, not bad at all. I'll throw this junk in here to clean up my inventory. Now, how exactly can I prevent this block from getting a redstone signal? I don't suppose that's going to help a little bit. Right, because this block is touching that one. So let me think this over for just a minute. I think what I can do, and I'm not positive about this, but I think I can place a stone cover here, and then place my lever on this guy. And now my stone cover is preventing that lever from affecting that yellow light, which is exactly what I want. And if I come in here and get myself some red alloy wiring, place that guy like so. Is that going to work for me? No. Alright, so a little less behaving than I wanted, but let me see if I can't get a way to get that to work. Alright, decided to change my design in this room just a little bit. It'll actually make it a lot easier to build, so why not? Let's do it. Instead of having the lever here that activates and turns on and off the reactor, I'm going to go ahead and put the lever here. And let's go ahead and place down a lever on this wall and see what we get. Alright, so that guy's still controlling that. How exactly did I wire this again? I'm thinking I should move this guy to about here. I can put my little strip down. Gonna need a few more of those, I'm suspecting, but that's alright. We can run our redstone, red alloy wire like this, and this will be my new door control mechanism thingy. So if I just run something like that, perfect, why not? And then here is where I'll have the lever for, so this is the door now, perfect. And the lever for the other guy is going to be right here. So where'd my lever go? I must have dropped it somewhere. Alright, so I'm just going to place this lever like so, and run some red alloy wire down this wall, and this will take care of my needs for... Can't have that torch there, unfortunately. But I can put it there, so that's nice. No, I probably won't be able to. I need to run this redstone running down here. Oh, I'm going to need a separator there as well. Hope you guys can see this on YouTube. There we go. Hey, much better. And then I can run my red alloy wire like this, and straight through to that guy. And that's going to indicate whether my power on my nuclear reactor is off or on. Cool. Let's adjust our sound again. Next up, I want to make sure that this transmitter here on frequency 20 is affecting my lighting system. So let's say that I also thought about this, and I think I determined that I don't like the fact that green and red, I don't know, like I like the green is safe and red is unsafe situation, but at the same time it also is confusing because you're used to meaning, you know, green is go and red is stop. So I haven't decided yet, but I might switch those colors. Now let me think about exactly how I want to lay out this color scheme, and I'll be right back. Actually, you know what guys, this episode's starting to get a little bit long. It's already over the 40-minute part. I think I should wrap up at this point. I'm sorry to do that to you, but it's probably going to take me a little while to get these lights exactly the way I want them to be, so it's probably a good wrapping up point, I hate to say. I know I say that and you guys hate it, but it is. So Direwolf20 is going to sign off here on episode 39. Hope you enjoyed checking it out. Next time I'm going to probably rearrange this lighting system. I don't even like it being flush against this wall. I'm going to move them over a little bit. And start building a system that I can have the lights telling me green, yellow, and red. And I might even do it wirelessly so I can have a set of these lights upstairs in my main chambers so I can also find out when I'm way upstairs working what the situation in my reactor room is like. So that's kind of cool. So stay tuned for that next time. Hope you guys enjoyed episode 39. Take it easy.